Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Storytellers Row. I'm your host, David Lanier. And today, we're going to come from a $50,000 foot view of stories in general and story structure. And we're going to come down to about 30,000 feet. So please fasten your seatbelts because this is going to be very, very quick. This is our 7-point plot structure. We have the hook. We have plot point 1, pinch 1, midpoint, pinch 2, plot point, turn 2, and resolution. We know that Star Wars has 21 beats for the story. And we understand that we're going to turn Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, into a Dungeons and Dragons adventure. So that's sort of where we're at. So today, let's look at some of the elements just from the mood and the beat points of the structure that we can already use to create our world. Okay, we have a supervillain that has called the Empire. The Empire has a super weapon, a mega weapon that can destroy an entire planet. It's really neat. They have a whole bunch of these soldiers called stormtroopers, and I gotta say this: if you're gonna go fascist, go stormtrooper. I mean, those outfits, those uniforms, that was kind of that to me, that right, those the stormtrooper, you nailed it. You thought the SS had something. No, stormtroopers, they have it. So, just saying. But if you're gonna, what I'm a dungeon master. I can be impressed by the monster. That I think that's fair. Let's see, and then Darth Vader with that. That was great too, right? So there's that. So we know that from our emotional beat, we start on a emotional thing of fear, hopelessness. All hope is lost. We know this from the theme story, Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. So from the title alone, we know that there's going to be a new hope. So hope somehow died, and then it's coming back. So we get that from the title. So we know somewhere we're going to pass the torch along to the next generation of heroes. So that gives us an emotional sort of thing. So we know that there's going to be hope in there. We know that there's, from the setting, right, where they say long ago in a galaxy far away and all of that, we know that there's a rebel alliance that's fighting the Empire. So we know there are factions right there. And within the Empire itself, because we know that there's a certain thing called magic, the Force, right? We know that the Force is this antiquated religion that has certain magical abilities, and that only certain people that are quote-unquote wizards, they actually called Obi-Wan Kenobi a wizard. So we have that, and we have a certain level of technology. So we understand that. And we have ships. And we have moments in which we can decide when we're appropriately going to insert various elements as dungeon masters, sort of nudges, for the players to get back towards the goal of the quest line, right? So let's take a look at the books and see how they define what we're doing. Let's first take a look at the Player's Handbook. Wizards of the Coast, 5th edition. Pardon me, clearing my throat. Player's Handbook, 5th edition, right here. I have the actual book. I'm going to read from it. Page 5, the introduction. The Dungeons and Dragons role, playing game is about storytelling in worlds of swords and sorcery. Storytelling in worlds of swords and sorcery. It shares elements with childhood games of make-believe. Like those games, D&D is driven by imagination. It's about picturing the towering castle beneath the stormy night sky and imagining how a fantasy adventurer might react to the challenges that scene presents. That's, in a nutshell, what it's about. Story time. Okay. Dungeon Master's Guide, 5th edition. Introduction, page 4. A dungeon master gets to wear many hats. As the architect of a campaign, the DM creates adventures by placing monsters, traps, and treasures for the other player characters, the adventurers, to discover. As a storyteller, the DM helps the other players visualize what's happening around them, improvising when the adventurers do something or go somewhere unexpected. As an actor, the DM plays the roles of the monsters and the supporting characters, breathing life into them. And as a referee, the DM interprets the rules and decides when to abide by them and when to change them. So we know that there are parameters we have to follow, and we know there's certain things we have to follow. But if we're going to understand all those rules and we're going to understand how they fit into a story context, and we're going to understand why the dice roles might be at certain moments and might not be required at other moments. And if we want to understand all the nitty-gritty little details of what certain mechanics are trying to imitate or represent in a story, we sort of need to look at them individually as elements that we're going to incorporate or not incorporate. And it says it right there in the book. The DM decides what rules to abide by, when to abide by them, and when to change them. And we're creating a world setting, a story adventure, right, for people to be in. And we want to make it accessible to a wide variety of audiences. And we want to have alien creatures and things like that in there. I mean, we had Chewbacca, and if you go to the cantina scene where, I mean, it's Star Wars. There's different races, beings from all sorts of planets, and we should be able to incorporate that into a story, because the player's handbook has a whole bunch of things. And maybe your player will look at it and go, I want to be a dragonborn whatever. And somebody else will look at it and go, I want to be a whatever. And, you know, you need to know how to be able to accommodate these things and still fit them within the story you're trying to run or create or what have you. So you might have certain restrictions on things. You might have to say, as a dungeon master, we're doing it with this within this confines. Okay? To help you understand what those confines are and the rest, we have a story structure for our emotional plot lines. We can look at somebody else's story and see where we're going to fit our traps and our monsters and our individual, let's call them motivational points, to keep adventurers sort of on the roller coaster. We don't care if they go off the rails a little bit. We don't care if, for example, in that famous scene when they go, these are not the droids you're looking for. If they want to go, you know, I try to fool him with my force magic, or I try to do, but we want to let them be able to do that. And then the consequences of that might be a new possibility for us. So instead, maybe we thought, okay, this is the moment where we have the pinch, and, you know, our hero, Luke, knows that he can't, our heroes, well, Luke, R2-D2, C-3PO, Obi-Wan, right? Those are our heroes right now. They have to meet the new player, right? I have to introduce this new player who agreed to come join us, because thank God, you know, we finally now have a 5th player. And I'm going to introduce him, but the point I want to introduce him is somewhere around here, but the players, instead of doing what I thought they would do at this moment, because let's face it, they never do, and instead of just going, oh, I use the force and he's fooled and boom, we're going on. No, instead, one player tries to stab the stormtrooper, another player tries to, cast illusion. These aren't the droids, and they're doing it right there in front of the stormtroopers and whatever. So maybe something happens and they get caught and put in prison. Because that could be fun too, right? And we missed that whole cantina scene where we had planned to set it up for Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan was going to show, hey, even though I'm an old dude, I can use this sword real good, boy. And, he was going to cut somebody's arm off, and we had that planned out because it was part of the, the module or whatever we're running. But the players went off the rails a little bit because that's what they do, and they decided to get themselves landed in a, fix. Well, as a DM and a good storyteller, if you know the mood and the vibe for that scene, you can improvise all day. See? You've got to get them to meet the rogue. You know that they're running away from stuff. You know you want to get them off the planet. So now we're in a jail scene. They're trying to break out. Maybe we start questioning Obi-Wan first because, he's old and, Denny's is going to close soon. And, we want him to get the senior special. So, we're going to question him first. And meanwhile, while we're questioning him, R2, God bless R2, R2's like, I'm getting out of here. I got a screwdriver and a set of lockpicks and I'm getting out of here. Oh, boy. And C-3PO is trying to charm the guy. Well, you really don't understand. We're all wrong and you got it all backwards and whatever. And Luke is kind of going, we're screwed. I hope they don't do, oh. Meanwhile, our new player, Han Solo, the rogue of the party, comes in and says, hey, are these the lockpicks you guys are looking for? Mind if I give you a hand? We got to get out of here real quick. I set something on fire. See, you can have all kinds of fun. You don't have to have a linear plot line. Emotional structure and understanding help us create a world. We know we have 21 beats in the story for Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. We know that the Empire has a big, powerful weapon. We know we have ships. We know we have a sand planet of Tatooine. We know we have another peaceful area that gets blown up. And we have all these beats that we can put elements into. See? It's going to be a lot of fun. Stay tuned. Please don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe button. And be sure to fasten your seatbelts because we're now at a cruising altitude of 30,000 feet where we start to look at the mechanics. But we're going to examine the mechanics from the Dungeon Master's perspective first. The world creator first. And then we're going to go down to the levels that make sense. May all your die rolls stay blessed. Have a beautiful